So the good news is, F1 Dream isn't a behind-the-car view racing game, just like all of the other F1 games that we've seen so far. The bad news is, well, I'll get there. F1 Dreams was originally a Capcom arcade game. A top-down racer played with a joystick rather than a steering wheel, and offered you a few different courses where you first had to drive a qualifying lap and then race against other cars. On the PC Engine, this is another case of Capcom developing the port, but NEC distributing it. This happens to be the only home port of F1 Dream, which should tell you something about how the arcade game was received. They made a lot of changes for this home version, and what they've done is so weirdly implemented, I kept wondering if I was doing something wrong. The game starts out with a pair of road races, and you start out with $10,000 that you use to bet. These races are one-on-one competitions, and even if you lose, you go on to the next race. After 2 races, you're scouted by an F3 team. Then you do a qualifying run, and then after that you do the F3 season. But while you're racing in the F3 season, you don't do any other qualifying runs. And sometimes your races will get interrupted by someone challenging you to a race that you'll have to bet on. If you manage to do well in the F3 circuit, then you advance to F1. So you've got a lot of money running around here. In fact, you go from your $10,000 to a few $100,000 when you start F3. What do you spend all of this money on? Well, the first thing you can do with it is hire mechanics. What mechanics you can get are randomized, and how skilled they are is randomized. Though, obviously you have to pay more for a skilled mechanic. Now, just having a mechanic doesn't do anything on its own. You also have to buy parts for the car. Each mechanic is responsible for only one part. So you have one mechanic for the tires, one for the engine, one for the suspension, and one for the body. The skill of the mechanic determines what's the maximum level you can upgrade that part to. Now, none of this process is cheap. Both mechanics and parts will cost a large portion of your starting money. So you have to bet and win races if you're going to upgrade your car. Honestly, the upgrade system is needlessly confusing. I never got a mechanic to handle the car's body for me, because which mechanics show up and offer their services is random. I just didn't get lucky. And of course, even if somebody shows up, you still have to be able to pay them. And then there's how you drive the car. Now, in fairness to F1 Dream on the PC Engine, the control scheme is identical to the arcade game. It's just a very, very bad control scheme. Button 2 accelerates in low gear, Button 1 accelerates in high gear, and pressing both buttons at the same time activates your turbo. Your turbo burns gas, but you'll go faster, and you'll probably need to lean on it for most of the race. So this control scheme means that you need to switch from Button 2 to Button 1, back to pressing both buttons at the same time if you want to accelerate properly. It's needlessly confusing and doesn't match how a car works. If something happens where you slow down, which button should you be pressing? It'll take you a few moments to figure out what you're supposed to do in any given situation, and that's not very good for a racing game. And then there's the steering. Almost every single top-down racer ever created features relative steering. You hit left on the D-pad to steer your car left, hit right on the D-pad to steer your car right. It's straightforward and logical. But not F1 Dream. F1 Dream uses absolute steering. Press down on the D-pad and the car starts turning in that direction on screen. It's not instantaneous, you're still steering through all of the directions. It's just now you have to point in the direction you want to wind up going, instead of steering, like you would in any other racing game. I found the control scheme to be incredibly confusing. You'll see me steer into walls a lot. Again, if you think for a moment, then it's not a big deal, but you don't have a moment in a racing game. There's other small problems. When you run into a car, you spin out, and that's fine, except that also happens when they run into you, and steering to avoid a collision will slow you down. The opponent cars are very aggressive drivers, which makes dealing with them a lose-lose proposition for you. I'm sure that the comments below will be filled with people saying that all of my problems here are skill issues, But every single Japanese player I found who had anything significant to say about F1 Dream also said that they found the control scheme to be completely confusing, and the racing to be especially cruel. Strangely, I found more full-length blog posts about this game than I did message board comments. It kind of gives the impression that not many people played F1 Dream, but those people who did really hated it. And obviously, I found it to be nearly unplayable. F1 Dream is a game that feels bad. You can really understand why this Capcom game has been just about forgotten.